Good evening and welcome to Pressing Issues. Today is September 27th, 2020, and we're here tonight. We're going to talk about Disneyland not reopening, while the whole state of Florida is now in phase 3 of reopening. And we're also going to talk about the Grand Floridian Orchestra. There's a sad story there. And then the new crowd levels that are sort of getting to the point of overwhelming, I think, for at least some people. So that's all tonight, plus some obligatory rants and other things. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage, and enjoy. I'd like to welcome my my co-panelist here, Eric Morton.
Good evening, Jason. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I really like that shirt, Eric, you got tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was my first merch spot. The first time that I said, hey, I found something first, so I had to buy it.
Yeah. So you had to buy it.
My one contribution to this
right.
company. Yeah. So it's been good. So
there you go.
It's good to be here.
Awesome.
We got a lot to talk about, I know.
We do. We don't have any other people to talk to, though. Just you and I tonight. It's kind of a busy week. A lot of things happening this week. Tom is gearing up for news tonight to return this coming Thursday. So we're only five days away from the return of WDW News Tonight. I know everybody's excited about that. And so, yeah. So that's ramping up. Everybody's hard at work getting that ready to roll. So Tom, in conjunction with that, is also turning over live stream duties in the parks to a number of people. Eric, you're one of them.
Yeah. I will be doing my first live stream tomorrow after work at EPCOT. So probably about 5 p.m. Eastern time. You want to walk around World Showcase with me. I will be live streaming. I bought one of those stabilizers. I have no idea how to use it. It should be really fun to watch me fail at live streaming my first go around at it. So please come hang out with us tomorrow night. It'll be great. Awesome.
And I will be down in Florida starting on Thursday for News Tonight and staying through the weekend. So I'm actually going to live stream one of those days. I don't know which, but yeah, I volunteered to help out too and live stream while I'm there. So I figured, good a time as any to get experience doing that, right? You and I both.
Yeah. If you want to buy a stabilizer, borrow a stabilizer. Let me know. I got one.
Oh, I have one. I got one.
Okay. Yeah.
So
you probably know how to use it.
But no, I probably don't. There's like 3 buttons, and you press them once or twice or 3 times to change the settings. I don't know. It's confusing to me. I got to read the directions.
There's
an app and everything.
No, my biggest fear is that I start the stream and don't realize I started it, and then I stop it, and boom, I've lost the stream, and all the notifications were wasted. That's my biggest fear, is the mechanics of actually starting the stream. So just knock on wood.
Stop it.
Yeah, just don't stop. Don't fat finger the button. That's my biggest challenge tomorrow. Yeah.
That's right.
And otherwise we'll have a good time. Yeah.
Penguin Project in the chat is asking if I'm actually going to Disney this time. Yes, we are. It's we're gonna go to Universal to see the haunted houses. That's kind of obligatory because I won't be back until after Halloween. So yeah, gotta do that. That's probably going to be Saturday morning, I think, and then the rest of the time we'll probably spend at Disney. Will I have a mystery woman with me on the stream too, or is that just a Tom thing? I have that planned. Yes, there will be a mystery woman.
Yeah, I'll have one too. I think I carry mystery women around. That's how I exist in this world. I have a mystery woman at all times.
I think you guys will be able to figure out who my mystery woman is. But yeah, it's going to be Jill. That's right. Dawn figured it out. Yes. So,
someone asked, NorCal guy asked, he asked what kind of stabilizer I have. I've got an Osmo 3, so it's I don't have the new one with the magnet. I have the
the
3.
I got the new one with the magnet.
Yeah.
I just got it. The only thing that's a pain is the magnet clip won't fit on my phone with the case on. So I got to take the phone out of the case to put it on.
Yeah, my phone won't fit in the clamp on the
too.
No,
yeah.
Osmoth Green, my phone won't fit in the clamp with the case on either. So there we go. The good chance I break my phone tomorrow. Good chance I break that iPhone 8 and finally give myself a reason to buy a nicer phone.
You got to just wait another month to get the 12 is coming out, or is it not? I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows? It's kind of like when they build a new roller coaster at Universal. They don't really say anything. You just have to go based on what everyone else says.
That's right. So yeah, Karen Porter is volunteering to be someone's mystery woman if we need it.
It's supposed to rain tomorrow. It'll be good. I need someone to hold the umbrella. I can't fill both my hands and carry a beer at the same time. Yeah. So.
Anyway, all right.
Let's get started.
Let's talk about something that's not like personal things. But the chat seems to be having a good time. Krista says, I don't understand how indoor movie theaters can open, but not an outdoor theme park. That's absolutely right, Krista. I totally agree with you. I think, like, Disneyland has obviously been ready to open for weeks now. And it seems that the California government is really sort of dragging their feet with this whole approval thing. And we talked about this. I remember talking about this months ago on Pressing Issues, where in Florida, the local government said, Disney, you set up a plan and we'll look at it, and if we like it, then we'll approve your plan and you can reopen. And in California, the government said, no, you can't reopen until we come up with a plan, and then we'll give you the plan, and then you can follow the plan, and if you don't follow the plan, you can't reopen. So very different tactics there, and so the problem in California is that the plan hasn't been created yet by the government, and so Disneyland can't reopen without that plan. That plan is essentially government approval to reopen, and they don't have the plan, so they can't reopen. And Josh D'Amaro has made it well known that Disneyland is ready to reopen. At this point, they have all the same protocols in place as Florida. And we've seen in Florida that the parks have reopened, both Universal and Disney, and have not contributed to COVID outbreaks or anything like that. So California seems to be just dragging their feet, and I don't know. They are really damaging, I think, the economy worse. And at this point, I don't know that there's any good reason, because Disney's demonstrated in Florida now for almost 2.5 months that they can run a theme park safely in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, I don't.
Chelsea.
To me, Jason, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What did Chelsea have?
I just want to say Chelsea's talking in the chat about smart mom L.J. Johnson and the pizza story. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. That may be one of my rants later on. We'll get to that. Let's cover the news first. But yeah.
I was just going to say, Jason, in Florida, and we've said it before, there are very few public places to go in Florida that I feel safer than Disney, because they are very strictly enforcing their measures. So, you're going places. It has been pretty much proven. They've been proven right that their measures have been sufficient to help protect people. There's not a rash of viral outbreaks tied to Disney World at all that I'm aware of. I haven't seen anything. And for all the criticism we take down here in Florida for being maskless hillbillies and all that stuff, Florida is on the lower half, the lower tier in terms of urgency with COVID now. The story I saw. So I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm just saying Florida seems to be kind of coming out of things, and other states are starting to ramp up. And I find it's interesting, by the way, when COVID was ravaging New York City, that's just sad. And when it was in Italy, everyone is, oh, pray for Italy, pray for New York. You know, there's all this terrible, and it is terrible. But then when it came to Florida, everyone's like, ha, crazy Floridians. Look, that's what you get, you crazy Floridians. You're like, and now it's in California. You know, what's the narrative now? I don't know. The narrative seems to be, we are the government. Everyone is subordinate to us, and we will tell you when you can do things. And I think it's just more a statement of really frustration from Disney, because they have a case to show them. Like, here's a story of us doing this successfully, and it has worked out in Florida, and things are pretty good. You know, there are frustrations with the way that everything is working in Florida. I do believe it's getting a little bit more crowded than maybe it should be. But in general, you know, I would think, like, you should be able to take this to the governor of California and say, look what we did at Walt Disney World. Look at what the result has been. Cases are down. Theme parks are open. People are going back to work. It's not, you know, we're not full blow. We're not being irresponsible, but rather we are being more responsible than many of our peer businesses, most of our peer businesses in Central Florida. You know, I don't know. I don't know what else they need to do to prove it to Gavin Newsom. I think it just has to be more a political thing.
Yeah, I think a couple things. Like some people are saying, well, California has bigger issues to deal with right now than theme parks with the wildfires and everything, which is true, right? And so they're busy. And so Eric, you just got a $5 super chat from Markland.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Markland. And have a great shirt. Thank you.
You know, if the state of California has many other issues that they need to deal with and can't worry about theme parks, then let theme parks do what they want. That's what Florida did. I mean, Florida didn't say we're going to come up with the rules, but oh wait, we're busy, so you're just going to have to sit there for months and not reopen. Florida said, you come up with a plan, we'll take a look.
Weren't they trying to be their own country a couple years ago? Like, oh, we're just going to be our own country. But it turns out we can't handle fires and Disneyland at the same time. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. They're not the same people making these decisions, with the exception of the very highest level.
Yeah, and so, I mean, if you want an example of how well Disney and Universal have been doing things, Disney reopened on July 11th, which was when COVID was starting to spike in Florida. Like, it was right at the giant uptick of COVID cases in Florida. They reopened. Everybody said, oh, this is bad. Disney shouldn't be reopening. There's no way they should be reopening now with these COVID cases getting higher and higher. And look at what's happened since Disney reopened. The COVID cases have come down steadily in Florida since Disney reopened. So there's been absolutely no negative impact from the parks reopening, and you could argue whether there's a positive impact or not, depending on if you can actually figure out what the cause of the decrease in COVID cases is. If you attribute it to Disney, I kind of don't, but still, it's clear that Disney hasn't caused any increase in COVID cases across the state of Florida. So they seem to know what they're doing. California seems to not know what they're doing. California is whether they're busy with the wildfires or whatnot, they you know, just let people do what they need to do then. I mean, Disney has demonstrated they have plans in place that work. You know, let them go. Disney doesn't need an opening guideline from the state of California in order to do it safely. They've opened every other park around the world, and they've done it safely. The last thing they need is the state to come tell them how they should reopen. They've figured it out in 6 different countries around the world. Why can't they figure it out in California?
Well, here's just one thing I'll say, Jason, is there was more urgency to get parks open in Central Florida because tourism is so important to Central Florida, and loss of tourism was devastating, has been devastating, and will continue to be devastating around here. Los Angeles has an economy, Southern California has the economy in and of itself that is not so dependent upon the tourism. So the sense of urgency in Florida, I think, reached the governor's ears probably in general. The state had the state's attention a little bit more than in California because, yeah, they do have a lot of stuff going on, but also getting the parks back open is not as important to them economically as a percentage of their, economy.
Well, no, but I think here's the problem is that I think Anaheim, the city of Anaheim is essentially in the same boat as the city of Orlando in terms of the parks being a very large component of their economy. It just so happens that Anaheim is a rather small city, and so the parks are overall total smaller numbers, but still a large part of Anaheim's economy. And in Florida, actually, a lot of what was happening in Florida was being taken care of by the mayor of Orange County and not the governor. And so here's a case where Newsom could certainly say, okay, we're going to let Orange County or the city of Anaheim, take the lead on the reopening and the protocols, and let them do it and let them do what they need to do. And clearly Newsom is on a power trip and is essentially saying you can't do anything until I tell you you can. And that's, I think, what people are annoyed about, is that this is one guy who's putting the roadblock on all of this, and people don't think that it should be up to one guy. And people are saying in the chat he's never going to get reelected, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it's one guy who's controlling the destiny of all of these people that work at the parks in Anaheim and all the ancillary businesses around Anaheim. If they open and the cases start to spike in Orange County, then you can close again, that's fine. But Newsom doesn't have any actual real hard evidence that opening Disneyland is going to prove to be a problem. I mean, they've opened Downtown Disney and it gets mobbed. Like, why is Downtown Disney allowed to open, right? Downtown Disney is mobbed every day. It's got to be worse than what the parks would be. The parks have more space to spread people out. So if they're letting Downtown Disney open, why can't they just let the parks open? Like, space those people out.
Yeah, I would be surprised the way this plays out over the next week or two. I would be surprised if they continue to hold this hardline stance. They're not going to do it. I think there's, they're going to have to explain their rationale eventually, and I would not be surprised to see them kind of relent and announce an opening date within the next week or two. But that's just me speculating. That, by the way, if you gamble in NFL games, my speculation is not always great. So I could be wrong there. I feel like timing wise, it's got to be coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly people out there that are trying to put pressure on Newsom, and at some point, I think that pressure is just going to get too great. And if he thinks he's going to get reelected, he pretty much needs to put away his iron fist and let other people have some say in how their cities are run. He can't run every city in the state. That's not his job. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. So what? Yeah. Right. So, and the other thing that we don't know about is annual pass holders in Disneyland. They just announced that the Premier Pass, the pass that gets you into Disneyland and Walt Disney World, are getting extended. So that's, the annual pass holders in Disneyland is going to be a whole other problem when that happens. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, they haven't
Yeah.
figured out the annual pass holder situation in Florida. They just announced not too long ago about the credits for people that have the water park, the premier, or the premium with the water parks, because the water parks aren't opening now until next year. So there's all kinds of issues with that.
Interesting time.
What are my thoughts on Disneyland annual pass holders? I mean, Disneyland annual pass holders are probably going to get screwed just like Disney World annual pass holders did. I think, my assumption is that they're going to do the park passes just like they do in Florida, and Disneyland is a lot more of a locals park than Walt Disney World, and so there's going to be way more locals with annual passes scrambling to get into the park, and it's going to be a bigger problem than it is in Florida for sure. Can you guys talk about the cruises? I don't have any news about cruises. I mean, the CDC keeps extending their no sale order.
Every time I look up, they've just extended it. I mean, I don't think anybody knows anything. I know people who are cast members for DCL who don't know anything, and my heart's with them because they're just kind of on this open-ended, waiting game. It's really unfortunate. It's understandable, but it's unfortunate. But we don't have any news on that.
Like there have been cruise lines. I don't know whether I think it's, is it Royal Caribbean? There's some cruise line that started some cruises in Europe, I think out of Greece. And they basically have set up the COVID test, the rapid 5-minute testing, and they test everyone as they're boarding the cruise ship. We talked about this months and months ago. I said, if the cruise lines just tested everybody before they boarded and they denied boarding to anybody that has COVID, it would be a very safe cruise. And they maybe can't stop at ports because that lets people out and about and may bring COVID back on board. But they could still go cruising. And a lot of times, I mean, especially for cruises in Florida, cruises out of Florida that go to the Bahamas and stuff. I mean, I've been in Nassau like so many times I don't even get off the ship anymore. So a cruise that doesn't stop in ports is still something attractive to me. Like Disney could absolutely go to Castaway Cay and people would love it. Yeah, and then that cruise in Europe, they did let people have excursions, but they had to be cruise line run excursions. So you were essentially quarantined on your excursion. You could only do what everyone else was doing. And I remember when that happened a couple weeks ago that there was one family that went off on their own during an excursion, and they didn't let them back on the ship. So I think
it's probably worth mentioning too that these crews are multinational. These people, when they start cruising again, they're going to have to bring people back in from all around the world that are employees of the cruise line. It's not like
it's going to be slow.
Not been on a Disney cruise, if you haven't been on a Disney cruise, it's not like going to Disney World. They're very multicultural. Almost all of the cast members aboard the ship are from different countries. Just getting them all back together and ready to sail is going to take quite a bit of time and effort. So I can see where there are complications other than someone lifting the sounding the all clear that hey, we can cruise again.
Yeah, it's going to be a very slow ramp up, and that's why the cruise that's in Europe, they basically launched one ship to see how it goes, and because it's going to be slow to ramp up. But yeah, so I'm still waiting on the cruise. I'm anxious to go on a cruise. We had one planned before coronavirus shut everything down, so certainly I'll be excited when cruises open. But yeah, I mean cruises to me seem to be one of the last things that are going to get back to some semblance of normal opening, just because it's so easy to spread coronavirus on a ship when you're in that close. that close to other people for a week. But yeah, we did have WWNT had a cruise planned for last month for August. Was going to be Tom's first ever cruise, and that was not a thing yet. Tom will eventually get on a cruise, but I don't know when.
It'll happen.
Yeah. John wants to know about merchandise collecting. I can talk about that in a little bit, but Penguin Project really wants me to rant about the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra, which is, yeah, it's probably one of the worst cost-cutting moves I've seen Disney make since getting rid of free bread, actually. So the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra was a group of musicians that would play in the lobby of the Grand Floridian. They've been around since 1998 when the hotel opened. You'd kind of expect that at a hotel that charges hundreds and hundreds of dollars a night, to be somewhat opulent, and having a live orchestra in the lobby would seem to fit that bill. And so they've been playing there for 32 years now.
32
since
years.
The hotel opened.
You said 1998. I think
88.
it was 1988. Yeah.
Okay, 88. Yeah.
32 years.
So I know that there are a huge amount of fans in the Disney online community that are fans of the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra. Probably as many as are fans of Offkilter, and were in an uproar when Offkilter was kicked out of EPCOT. The thing with Offkilter was they're a band that can go and play other things. The Grand Floridian Society Orchestra cast members didn't really have other things to do. I mean, that was their job. So now they're this group of musicians that they essentially got brought back to work. They were called back from their furloughs because studios needed help because it was a very crowded park with very few things to do. And so they called them back to put on a show in the Theater of the Stars, where the Beauty and the Beast show is normally presented. And they called them the Disney Society Orchestra, and they played, I think they played sets every day and twice on the weekends, 7 days a week since they were called back. And now they've been told, well, we're budget cutting in October. So October 1st is the start of the new fiscal year for Disney. Disney operates on a fiscal year that goes from October 1st to October 1st. And so a lot of things always happen right around now with budget cuts and things. And so it's not surprised that this happened at this point in time. Because this is when Disney starts to cut budgets for the next fiscal year.
There's like two different discussions about this. The first one is how you treat employees, and I'm going to use the term employee. I'm not aware of what their employment status is as performers. Sometimes they're like a contractor, or they have a contract that gets renewed. Sometimes I don't know what their employment status is. There's an argument to just about the kind of sad task of getting rid of a group of performers who have, some of them probably have been there for 32 years, others have joined along the way. Since I don't know much about that, though, I want to talk about value as a consumer. Spending a night at the Grand Floridian's like, I don't know, around $800 a night or something like this. What do you get for all that extra money?
$800 a night.
What are you getting for all this extra money now? Are the rooms the nicest on property? No. Do they have a pool that's more special than the other deluxe resorts? No. You have proximity to the Magic Kingdom, but you're the flagship resort of this place. So I would expect some of these nice touches. You go in, you're spending $800 a night, and you've had this orchestra here the whole time. for years and years, people have been able to go, hey, I'm going to walk into, even if you're not staying there, the Grand Floridian is an attraction in and of itself, where people would go, hey, let's go to Meisner's and have a martini and listen to the Grand Floridian Orchestra. Well, they got rid of Meisner's and put in a resort themed about Florida, they put in a Beauty and the Beast bar from France. And now they've gotten rid of the orchestra. I don't know, I don't know what this resort is, who they're trying to attract or what they're trying to offer them. But to me, for the price, no way. There's just no way that especially getting rid of these touches and kind of all the surprises and the things that people like about Disney, where you go, I'm going to walk in here and there's going to be something that delights me that I wasn't expecting to see, as someone who maybe just resort hops, but as someone who, if you've been staying there your whole life and suddenly this amenity that you're accustomed to is just like ripped out, and they have, as far as I know, they haven't said they're replacing it with anything yet. They haven't made like an official announcement about that, but I don't know what the premium is for now. A nice lobby. Okay. $800 a night for a nice lobby in a room that's similar to every other room on property.
They don't have the nicest pool. They don't have the nicest rooms. They don't even have the best location. I mean, Contemporary has a better location. It's a closer walk to the Magic Kingdom. And Polynesian, it's not a walk to the Magic Kingdom, but you can walk to the Transportation and Ticket Center and hop the monorail to Epcot when it runs. So the Grand Floridian has the worst location of all the Magic Kingdom Club or all the Magic Kingdom resorts. It doesn't have the best pool. I think the Polynesian pool is better. I mean, I think there's pools that are better than the Polynesian too, but still, it doesn't have the best pool of the Magic Kingdom resorts. It doesn't have. I mean, you can argue whether it has good restaurants, but like you said, once you get into things like restaurants and bars, anybody could go to the Grand Floridian to visit the restaurants and the bars. If that's their claim, then why wouldn't you just go stay somewhere else and go to the Grand Floridian to go to the restaurants? So, I mean, people are talking in the chat about Eisner. Yeah, Eisner, was the CEO when the Grand Floridian opened, and he's the one that brought in the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra for when the Grand Floridian opened, and it's been there ever since. So clearly, I mean, Eisner, the Grand Floridian was one of Eisner's pet projects because he wanted a very high-end, opulent hotel at Walt Disney World, and he put it into place, and it was that for many, many years. And then with Chapek in charge, he just started stripping stuff out, and things are getting worse and worse. Penguin Project says Eisner was the best Disney CEO of all time. I mean, in recent memory, yeah. I mean, Eisner was the best CEO of the past 3, that's for sure. And Iger has been destroying things, and Chapek is kind of worse. So,
yeah, and this maybe it's because I was younger and I didn't have as much experience dealing with Disney, but it seems now that they are much more driven by the quarterly conference call and earnings reports, and a lot of their decisions are more short-run decisions.
They absolutely are. They're all short-sighted decisions.
The company used to be able to kind of think long, and now they're like, what can we cram in this? How can we make this quarterly report look better? And look,
yep.
I'm a shareholder, right? I own shares of Disney. So yeah, guess what? Iger was really good to me in terms as a shareholder, and I'm sure Chapek is good to the shareholders too in terms of delivering revenue and great reports. But as a Disney fan, it's really disappointing to see them have such short-sighted approaches to everything, even though we know we are in really difficult times. I try not to use the word unprecedented because I just hear it too much right now. We're in difficult times, but as we come out of it, to just say you guys are gone, as opposed to like, hey, you know, we don't know what the future holds. We're going to just kind of wait until, you know, January or something like that.
Yep.
I think that approach would be understandable. Keep in mind, we have not heard official word from, I don't believe we've heard official word from Disney on the future of the Grand Floridian Orchestra. What we saw was a post made to Facebook from the Grand Floridian Orchestra's Facebook page announcing that they would be leaving. So it's possible
they were told
that Disney
their contract was not being renewed.
Yeah, so it is possible that in January Disney goes, all right, we're bringing them back, and that this is all us getting up in a tussle about nothing. But based on what we've seen from Disney over the last few years, I think it's safe to say that their days here are probably over.
Yeah, I agree. Super chat from Father Richard Gonzalez says, amen, amen, Eric and Jason. Thumbs up, yes. Thank you very much for that. The really funny thing is that the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra made this post on Facebook about their last day being October 3rd, and there was immediately a big kerfuffle in the Disney online community about this. And so then what happened was on Saturday, I think it was Saturday. So that happened, I think that announcement came out Friday night. On Saturday, Disney decided to publish a Parks blog post. Now, they don't publish Parks blog posts on Saturdays. They don't work on Saturdays. So the fact that a Parks blog post came out on Saturday, and it was all about new shows, but they're not new, shows that are returning to studios, like the Frozen Sing-Along. They tried to announce this returning show to deflect attention away from the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra announcement by saying, "Hey, well, you know, you got all these other, you know, things at studios you could do, so you don't need the Disney Society Orchestra there anymore." There's still not enough to do at studios, but that's a whole other thing. Right. But so what happened was,
and just Disney, so you know, Jason, just to clarify, I believe it did come out yesterday because Tom was live streaming in the parks and basically preempted his live stream. Like, sorry, I have to go. We have breaking news. He posted an article, and admittedly, the article was highly critical of Disney. It had a kind of, I don't want to say inflammatory headline, but the headline was basically like, Disney's just firing the Grand Floridian Orchestra. Some people objected to the use of the term firing, but what do you say? What do you call it when you tell someone you're not going to work here anymore? So, but Tom posted that. Right. So people were, I agree. People were very upset about this. And I guess to just kind of throw up a smokescreen, Disney Parks blog throws up articles saying, "Hey, Frozen sing-along celebration is coming back." And there were so many negative comments that they took it down. So
well, I think they tweeted. They tweeted the post, and then everybody responded to their tweet. Saying negative things about the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra, so there were so many negative tweets that they had to delete their tweet, which was basically just a link to the story. But they had to delete the tweet because so many people were complaining in that Twitter thread about, you know, we don't care about the Frozen sing-along, we care about the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra.
And we went last night, just so you know. We went last night. I met Tom at the Grand Floridian, and we kind of had a sad cocktail and a toast to the Grand Floridian Orchestra at Enchanted Rose. So we had our $20 old fashions, and we stood in a place where they used to perform, and Tom kind of just held up a toast and bewildered, sad look on his face, took a picture from where they used to perform before they tucked him off in the corner. And you know, it was pretty sad. You know, I know Tom is very passionate about it. A lot of Tom's Disney history, Tom's Disney history actually starts at the Grand Floridian. You know, that as a child, that was where they would go. So
that was
as a
hotel.
kid, I would have
Yep.
been more like probably staying on 192 somewhere and packing peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the car. So it's nice to have had your history be the Great Floridian, but I don't have those childhood memories like that of the Great Floridian. But I mean, a lot of people do. It's tradition for a lot of families to go there, and it was overwhelming the amount of comments that were, sad and angry and confused and upset about this announcement. It's really depressing.
Yeah. Dawn says, this is the company that replaced Impressions de France with that wretched Beauty and the Beast monstrosity. So I guess we shouldn't really be surprised. No, you're right. Can we rent a ballroom at the Grand Floridian and hire them to play a show? Yeah. That's not a bad idea.
So Tokyo, actually right now, Tokyo is officially unveiling the new Beauty and the Beast ride. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact name of the Beauty and the Beast ride. So Tokyo, they get this amazing trackless ride with the amazing special effects where the Beast transforms into a prince and all these things.
You get animatronics that are dancing.
Yeah. What Beauty and the Beast stuff have we got in Florida in the last 2 years? We've gotten the Enchanted Rose and the Beauty and the Beast sing-along, which is the worst Disney attraction maybe ever. And so I don't know. Oh God, it is terrible. It is. If anybody tells you that it was cute or enjoyable or whatever, you just ignore them. They haven't seen anything good apparently to compare it to. It is horrible.
I have not.
And then Tokyo gets this. Hey, Enchanted Tales of Belle is pretty cool. That little special effect with the mirror and all that stuff. That's cool. But the last couple of years, we get the Enchanted Rose and we get the Beauty and the Beast sing along. Why don't you just smack me in the face and save a couple $1 million? That's just my take on it.
Well, they're trying to get that $1 million back by charging you $25 for drinks at the Enchanted Rose. I don't understand how a mediocre bar in a hotel that's supposed to be the flagship hotel, but really doesn't have the amenities to be a flagship hotel, can get away with charging $25 for drinks. That makes no sense to me. No, Eric was talking about the Beauty and the Beast sing-along in France. That was horrid. Yeah.
They replaced Impressions de France after 7:30 p.m. or whatever.
The other thing that I'm looking at, so along with the opening of New Fantasyland today, the official opening today, they've also released a ton of merchandise, and Spencer had made several posts over the past couple days with this list of merchandise. So you look at the kind of merchandise that they're getting for their Beauty and the Beast ride, and there's some amazing merchandise there. Amazing merchandise. So you've got the Beauty and the Beast ride, and you've got all the merchandise associated with that. You've got the Happy Ride with Baymax and all that merchandise. Then they're also releasing the Tokyo Disneyland 2020 line of merchandise today, and they're releasing the some mini line of merchandise that I don't collect mini stuff, so I didn't really look at it. But there's 4 different merchandise lines being released on the same day, and it's all amazing stuff. I mean, they've got some of the coolest merchandise, and we get garbage. We get garbage attractions, and then we don't even get any decent merchandise to go with the garbage attractions.
No, the Chubby stuffed bird that you can squeeze.
Chubby the merchandise bird. That's right.
Wings. There you go. Chubby the merchandise. That bird is really cute. It's adorable. But now we've reached maximum Baby Yoda density. I don't want to see any more Baby Yoda. There's just Baby Yoda everywhere you look. Okay, we played that one out. We've played that one out. Let's do something new. Or maybe build a better attraction that we can stuff with. Yeah.
I mean, Galaxy's Edge really seems. It feels to me to be not finished. Galaxy's Edge seems like, I don't know, like Hong Kong Disneyland was when it opened. It's only got half the attractions that it should have. The problem is that Galaxy's Edge isn't slated to get any more attractions. That's the unfortunate thing. But it still feels like half finished to me. So there's been plenty of people. I mean, there's people on Twitter that were going off about, that's it, I'm done with Disney, I'm going to Universal. I mean, if you look at what Universal's done over the past 2 weeks, Universal has been able to open 2 Halloween Horror Nights houses that weren't originally going to open any of them. They've got two Halloween Horror Nights houses open. They're all set up with social distancing. Not only that, they're open during the day to regular park guests. They're not even a extra charge hard ticket event at night. They're open during the day to any park guest who has a park ticket. So Universal's coming in and they're giving people a taste of what Halloween Horror Nights is for anyone who hasn't gone with these houses. Obviously, there's restrictions and things, and they're not as great as normal because of all the social distancing and this and that. But still, they're there and they're free. And what is Disney doing? Well, they're taking away an orchestra at their flagship hotel because it costs too much money and people are only spending $800 a night to stay there, so they can't afford to pay the orchestra. I mean, yeah, these amazing places that Universal have been shaming Disney since 2014, and I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, we talked about this last week or the week before when Annie was on about how Universal has got this Halloween Horror Nights cult going where they've been selling merchandise for the 30th anniversary of Halloween Horror Nights without having a Halloween Horror Nights event. I mean, there's people going nuts for this merchandise, and it hasn't even had. That was before they even had these houses. So.
By the way, Universal Parks News today. It's a really great show with a great new host. You should check it out sometime.
Yes, please do. Head over to our YouTube channel for Universal Parks News today, and subscribe to that because we're doing really well over there. And Eric's now taking over the news show for that. So definitely check that out. Yeah, Universal's made it hard for APs to go on the weekends now with buy a day, get the whole year free. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's crowded. I think the other problem that I'm not looking forward to next weekend is that the houses are only open on the weekends. That's a big problem. I think that's causing a lot of the crowd issues in the parks on the weekends.
There's some talk that as we get closer to Halloween that they will have the houses open during the week as well. I guess we'll see.
I bet they will. I bet they will.
Yeah, and the houses. I mean, let's temper our expectations here. I don't want to get on a Universal discussion on a Disney show, but they still you walk into a dark room. Okay. You walk into a dark room and you're gonna get scared. There's like a piece of plexiglass. You know where the scare actor is gonna jump out from, right? They have to have plexiglass between you and the scare actor, so it's a little predictable, but it's still pretty cool and still well done from everything that everyone says. So anyway, hopefully they will open it during the week soon.
So let's just catch up on a couple of things in the chat. Drew Meyer says in October they are going to be open every day, so that's good. It doesn't help me, but I'll just get there super early on Saturday and do the houses and get out before the crowds come. Dawn says hopefully Nick will be back for news tonight. Miss that dude. Yes, Nick should be back for news tonight. I haven't heard anything to the contrary, although I haven't talked to him myself. Robert says go to Lombard second floor for APs. It is so worth it. I did that last time I was there. It was fantastic. So we may end up going. Into Universal in the morning for the houses, and then we may just stick around for lunch at Lombard's. Jill wants to do that for sure. Is Eric streaming tomorrow? You are streaming tomorrow, right, Eric? Live streaming from EPCOT? I think you're muted.
It looks important though, but you're muted, Eric.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, tomorrow around 5 p.m. Epcot World Show. We're going to keep it World Showcase focused. I'm not a construction expert, so there's no value in me going up to Future World World Celebration and what are they? All these new names. I got to get used to them. But yeah, I'll be
World Showcase and be done.
It'll be a taste of the International Food and Wine Festival.
There we go. Are the parks going to be crazy busy in December? Do I think they'll be at 100%? I don't know. I don't know what crowds are going to be like in December. I'm going for Thanksgiving. This will be the first time I've ever gone at Thanksgiving. So we'll see. Crowds are not looking good over the past week or two, especially compared to, when I was there in July and August when it was really dead. So I'm not looking forward to the crowds that are probably going to show up at Thanksgiving. But it'll be a new experience for me because this will be my first time there. And actually, I think this will be my first time there in the month of November. So I think November is the only month that I haven't been to Disney World yet. So that will be. Yeah. Do we want
to get into crowds right now, or are we still?
I want to just cover a couple more things that people are putting in the chats, and then we'll probably take a break, and then we'll talk about crowds when we come back. So Penguin Project says, did we ever end up doing a show on fireworks returning to Tokyo? I don't think we talked about that. I think Spencer is going to be on next weekend because he'll have ridden all of the new Fantasyland rides in Tokyo.
He's literally there for the opening right now. He's literally there right now.
He's there.
Tokyo.
Yeah. He's there.
So he's riding. It's the first official day.
So he will be. I'm pretty sure he will be on the show next weekend. Actually, I won't be on the show next weekend because I'll be flying home from Orlando at this time next weekend. But we do have some big news to announce about this show that maybe I'll talk about when we come back from the commercial break. And it will start next week. When is Axel coming back? I don't know. Axel has now gone back to work at his job. He was working from home for a long time, but now he's back at work. So he's actually working today. Otherwise, he'd be here tonight. He wanted to be on tonight. Can you please super chat Eric tomorrow during the live stream? Yes. Everybody, please tune in for Eric's live stream tomorrow. What do I think of the Beauty and the Beast ride in Tokyo? I've tried to avoid spoilers as much as I can. I mean, I know it's trackless. I know what the ride vehicles look like. I know there's waltzing animatronics that blow people away. That's about all I know. So I don't know what else to say about it because I'm trying not to watch the videos. Charles Glover gave us a super chat for $4.99. Thank you, Charles. I went on July 11th this year and it was so empty that week. I want to ask your thoughts on Regal Eagle because it's been a while since I heard the show. I've not eaten at Regal Eagle yet. I
haven't eaten there since yesterday.
How was it yesterday?
It was good. It was good. It's annoying because they require you to do mobile order, and which is, I like to mobile order generally, but sometimes when I'm just on a whim, like, here I am, I'm going to pop in here and grab something real quick. Like we went to Pizza Rizzo last week, wanted a cannoli. They pick it out of a refrigerator. There's nobody in there, but they stop you at the door like a bouncer, and they're like, "No, sir, did you mobile order? Did you mobile order? Like I'm supposed to, like it's a private club. I'm supposed to be a member." So the mobile order is a little cumbersome, only because I was kind of just popping in there while my girlfriend Lee was getting a drink. But no, the food itself was really good. I had a brisket sandwich yesterday. It was fantastic. So it's great. Regal Eagle is it was really. I mean, I'm from the Kansas City area originally. And it's easy it's like New York people with pizza where they're like, you can't get your pizza anywhere else, right? But no, I think for just, what it is, theme park, mass-produced barbecue, I think it's really good. It's fine.
How do you think it compares to Four Rivers?
Four Rivers is probably better, but Four Rivers also has a huge array of sides available. I don't know about their food truck because I haven't eaten at it, but they have a huge array of sides. They have a big bakery. It's a full-fledged barbecue restaurant. We can have them give you a scoop of burn ends, and you can they have a little bit more probably variety and probably fresher barbecue. But at a certain point, smoked meat is smoked meat. as long as it's not, as long as they don't screw it up. So, no, I mean, Four Rivers is better than Regal Eagle, but I don't think that, I think that Regal Eagle is still very good for theme park barbecue.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I wanted to try it. Tom said it was bad. I wanted to try it. Last time I was at EPCOT, we did food and wine, so I didn't really have an opportunity to eat anything else. So maybe this year or maybe this trip, this weekend, I'll manage to try Regal Eagle.
Well, there is a new barbecue sandwich at Epcot too. I don't know if you saw, Jason. We ran an article this weekend called the Land Crusher. It's available.
I did see that. Yeah.
So I'll have to check that one out and give you a report back. But there is a new barbecue sandwich at Epcot in the Land Pavilion at Sunshine Seasons, and I love that it's called the Land Crusher. That sounds like
that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny. Eric, the chat wants to know where you got those two pictures behind you.
Okay, both of these pictures, I got their 40th anniversary of Disneyland Pirates of the Caribbean. So I got them in, 2008 at Disneyland. So right there in the shop right on Main Street. I forget the name of the art store there, but that's where I got them. And I love this artist. This artist, the same artist, I think, did both of these. I love her, and I wish I could get more stuff from her. She's phenomenal. I love the style. And just so people know, there's a whole story of this. I know we need to go to commercial, but there's a whole story in my family of this scene right here, the jail scene at Pirates of the Caribbean. The first time I went to Disneyland, I was like 2 years old. My family, we drove there from Kansas to California. And apparently me at 2 or 3 or however old, I was very small. I just kept asking my family, why didn't the doggy want the bone? Well, after like 25 hours or whatever it took to drive back to Kansas, my family was sick of me always asking 500 times, why didn't the doggy want the bone? And I never got an explanation to satisfy me. So it's always been a thing in my family. Whenever people see cool stuff with the jail scene, it's that they always think of me and my family, and so I have a lot of the stuff from that scene. It's like a family story.
That's funny. That's great. Yeah. All right. Let me. I think we covered pretty much everything in the chat. People are arguing about mobile order, but that is what it is. Let's go to the commercial because I know people are going to be anxious to hear the big announcement about pressing issues when we get back. So we'll take our commercial break now. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about crowds and what's going on with the crowds in the parks this week, our big news, and then if we have time, we'll talk about that crazy woman that ordered a $47 pizza and then didn't tip the waiter. So stay tuned after these messages from our sponsors.
Hi everyone, I'm Cosmic Chris Reed, inviting you to join my co-hosts and I every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern on WDW News Today as we chat Disney park memories, food, and Imagineer our own attractions, restaurants, hotels, and more. Share your stories with us in the YouTube chat. Plus, listen to WDWN tunes at the same time to hear some Disney park music paired with the show topics. Cosmic Read Live every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on WDW News Today.
4 panelists, 30 minutes, 1 week in Disney Parks news. This is Parks Center. On Parks Center, the panel and I cover the top 7 Disney park stories of the past week. From attraction news to transportation scandals to new food and merchandise, we'll cover it all in 30 minutes or less. You can watch us stream live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. at wdwntunes.com, watch episodes on demand at youtube.com/wdwnt, or subscribe to the audio version of the show on your favorite podcast app.
Dreamfinders is WDW News Today's podcast all about the creative culture surrounding Disney parks. Authors, Imagineers, dancers, actors, photographers, filmmakers, and a whole lot more have all stopped by to chat about how Disney has inspired their artistic work.
But I still remember sitting in conference tables and looking across at Michael and Jeffrey Katzenberg and this sort of little 6-year-old inside of me going, what in heaven's name is going on here?
And we're off and running, and Tony needs someone to lay it out for him. And there's no architect available. So the next thing I know, I'm laying out the pavilion.
I got to tell you, I have not enjoyed a podcast so much. It's just a warm conversation, and warm and intelligent conversation, which you don't find that often in podcasts.
Dreamfinders. Episodes drop every other Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher.
WDW News Tonight is our weekly comedy show combining the news of the week, comedy segments, thoughtful discussions, insane characters, parody commercials, games, and more. Watch live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and become a Wigs member to get access to a bonus post show. Watch WDW News Tonight episodes anytime and live on YouTube, or get the audio-only version on iTunes and other podcast services.
Muted. There it goes. Eric's rubbing off on me. I was muted.
Yeah, sorry. It's
welcome back
contagious.
to
I got it
Pressing
from
Issues.
Pete the other day.
Yeah. Welcome back to Pressing Issues. Couple of business things to take care of. Please check out The Vacationeer, our preferred travel agent here at WDW News Today. The Vacationeer is the engineers of your next magical vacation. Visit WWNT Travel for details. The Vacationeer can plan your trips to Walt Disney World, Disneyland after December, Universal Studios, Disney Cruise Lines after 2025, and anywhere else you'd like to go. So check out WWNT.travel for details. And also, press that thumbs up like button on this stream if you're enjoying the show tonight. Press the bell for notifications or something like that, whatever that means. Also, if you like WWNT stuff in general and you're not yet a Wigs member, head on over to patreon.com/WDWNT and check out our Wigs program. For as little as $2 a month, you will get all kinds of benefits, post shows, early access to things, a whole wealth of things. Coming at some point in the future, although I can't really say how long this is going to take to implement, we are going to have an option in our app, WWNT the app, for Wigs members to be able to turn off advertising in the app. I know that's something that a lot of you have asked for. So that's coming. We're working on it right now. I think that's all I was supposed to plug. Anyway, all right, before we get to LJ and the $47 pizza, the big announcement is that starting next week, next weekend on WDWNT.com, we're starting a brand new series of articles. This will be weekly, starting next Friday, leading up until the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World on October 1st, 2021. And the series is called Timekeeping, a complete chronology of Walt Disney World. And what we are attempting to do, this is spearheaded by Ron Deanna, who you may know from Pressing Issues he's been on, but also he's been on WW News Tonight and a bunch of other shows. What we're trying to do is chronicle as much as we possibly can about Walt Disney World. And 50 years, we're taking 1 year each week over the next year. starting with 1970. This Friday, we're going to have one article a week that talks about everything that happened in that year at Walt Disney World, and we're doing everything from, like, you know, Disney flying over the land in Florida and saying, "Hey, let's buy this," to you know, the Grand Floridian opening in 1998, to you know, Offkilter being kicked out of EPCOT. We're going as deep as we possibly can. This is Ron's idea, is to basically chronicle everything that we possibly can about Walt Disney World. And sometimes we'll have, like, the date, sometimes we'll only know the month, and sometimes for, like, weird things that happened in, like, 1973, we might only know that it happened at some point in that year. But we're going to chronicle absolutely as much as we can over the course of the next year into somewhat like a compendium of the history of Walt Disney World. And so it's called Timekeeping, and the first article should come out on Friday, as long as we got it ready. Otherwise, it'll probably come out on Saturday. And so, along with this new article series that we're coming out with, Ron thought it would be a good idea to have, like, a little video series to go with the articles, where we get a couple of people who are, like, history buffs like me and Ron, to talk about whatever happened in that week's article. So whatever the biggest or the most interesting things of that year in Walt Disney World history. And so, because we're kind of, our schedule on here on WWNT on YouTube is kind of packed, and we weren't quite sure how to put in, I mean, there's only going to be like a, you know, 20 to 30 minute thing every week. We weren't quite sure how to do this. Obviously, we wanted to do it live so that people in the chat could ask questions and interact. And it had to be after the timekeeping article came out on Fridays. And so I had the idea, why don't we spend, like, the first 30 minutes or so of Pressing Issues each week talking about the article? And so starting next Sunday, Ron is going to be on, and we're going to talk about the first article in the timekeeping series, which covers everything up until 1970. And so that'll be like the first part of Pressing Issues each week. Will be a little discussion about the timekeeping article for that week and everything that happened in Walt Disney World for whatever year it is that we're covering. So that's the big announcement. That's going to happen starting next week. So make sure you check out the timekeeping article on the site. And then, yeah, we'll be interacting with the chat and hopefully answering questions that people might have or whatever. Just kind of having some fun. It's not designed to be... it's not designed to be equivalent to the article. It's designed to be sort of a companion to the article itself, where we just talk about some of the most interesting things or things that we didn't know until we looked them up, that kind of stuff. So that's the idea. Starts next week on Pressing Issues. All right, so that's the big news. So we're still going to talk about Pressing Issues every week. We might not talk about them as much, although it kind of seems over the past couple of weeks that there haven't been as many things to talk about either. So it kind of will ebb and flow with the news. I think some weeks we'll have a longer segment on timekeeping, because it'll just be a lot of stuff that happened in a given year, like 1971 or 1982. And other weeks we might have a relatively small amount of things that happened in that year, like 1973. Probably there wasn't a whole lot that happened, but Pressing Issues will still happen. And if we have a lot of pressing issues to talk about, we'll just go over. You know, we stick to something around 2 hours, but if we have a lot to talk about, we'll go long. So don't worry, Pressing Issues will still be here and happening, and we'll be talking about the news every week. we're just going to put in the timekeeping thing, sort of as a tribute countdown to the 50th anniversary, because the 50th anniversary is going to be a big deal, and it's going to be fun, and we're actually planning a lot of crazy things that we're working on that I can't talk about yet either, but that's the plan. So kind of a pressing issues bonus little segment in addition to everything that you've known to come to know and love about pressing issues itself. I just want to know where y'all are holding Axel and if he's okay. Yes, he's okay.
He's at work. He's got a job.
He's at work. All right, let's talk about this crazy thing that people are asking about, which is this crazy woman. Her name is LJ. She runs a website. Her website is, ironically enough, Smart Moms Plan Disney. Yep. So she thinks that she's a smart mom. And her website literally says, I spend 1 week a month at Disney World learning to help moms like you do Disney better, smarter, and less expensively. That's her website. I think she's a travel agent, or she's affiliated with travel agents or whatever, because a lot of her thing is directing people to go to talk to her, like travel agent friends or whatever. But she is helping moms like you do Disney better, smarter, and less expensively. And apparently, the way that she's figured out how to do that is to not tip people when she goes to eat at Via Napoli. So she spends 1 week a month at Walt Disney World. That's more than I spend at Walt Disney World. That's like Tom spends every day there, but there's somewhere in between, like me and Tom. I spend at least a couple days a month. She spends a week a month at Walt Disney World. And she acts like she's this woman who can help everyone plan a vacation. She calls herself a smart mom. And then she goes to Via Napoli. And Via Napoli has really good pizza. It's not like the super cheapest thing ever. But Via Napoli's kind of expensive, but it's good, right? And, anywhere you eat in Walt Disney World is expensive for what you get. So it's not really like Via Napoli is out of the question expensive. It's not like it's Tutto Italia where you spend a whole buttload of money for pasta. But she goes in there and remember, smart moms, right? So she's supposed to be smart. She goes into Via Napoli. She orders an individual sized pizza, which I believe is $22 menu price.
24.
And the menu says
she got the picante pizza. Yeah, the picante.
That's the individual size for us Americans.
It comes with tomato sauce, Italian spicy sausage, and mozzarella.
There you go. And then, of course, like any pizza joint, you can add more toppings. So she adds, 4 more toppings to this pizza. And, of course, like any pizza joint, you can add more toppings, and they cost money, right? So she adds 5 additional toppings to this pizza, like artichokes and peppers, and I don't even know what it was. It's irrelevant what it was. She adds 5 more toppings to this pizza. So the pizza goes from $24 to $47 because she spent all this money adding toppings. So then the bill comes, and she takes a picture of the bill and posts it on Instagram, where she says, so she fills out the payment part, and where you can write in, the tip and the total. She writes $0 tip, and at the bottom she writes, "Sorry, no tip. This pizza was $47, and that's outrageous," or something along those lines. I don't know what it was, but she was clearly didn't understand that she ordered a $47 pizza. Even though it says the price on the menu and it says the topping price on the menu, she didn't understand she didn't understand that the pizza cost $47 after she added 5 toppings to it. So because she was sort of taken aback by the $47 pizza, individual size pizza that she ordered for lunch, she decided not to tip the waiter. And she wrote it on the receipt. She wrote, "I'm not tipping because $47 for a pizza is outrageous." And then she posts this on Instagram. She posts a picture of the receipt and claims that she didn't understand, or she misread the menu. And so she didn't expect the pizza to be $47. And so, therefore, she wasn't leaving a tip. Because, first, obviously, it's the waiter's fault that she didn't read the menu. And it's also the waiter's fault that she ordered 5 extra toppings on this pizza, right? Like, that's all the waiter's fault. So, of course, you don't tip him because it's his fault. It's not your fault for not reading the menu. Plus, she's apparently a smart mom that knows how to show other people how to do Disney better and cheaper somehow, and she promotes this, and she promotes this on her website and directs people to her travel agents, and she's in Disney a week every month, learning how to help moms like you do Disney better, smarter, and less expensively, she says. But yet she doesn't know how to read menus in the Disney restaurants. And then she also doesn't know that it's a pretty rude move to stiff your waiter on the tip for a mistake that you made. And then went and posted it on Instagram. And then later, now, so you think this is all, like, ridiculous enough, right? Like, this is a pretty ridiculous story, and this woman is clearly a moron and doesn't deserve any of these, 100,000 Instagram followers she has, who she pretends she knows what she's doing, because clearly she doesn't. But then she goes on Instagram after the huge blowback on her Instagram about how terrible of a person she is for not tipping her waiter for something that was her fault. After that, then she goes somewhere else in Epcot, and she orders a tiramisu for dessert, and then she goes and buys an alcoholic beverage somewhere, and she goes. So she's apparently not a poor person to go to Epcot. I mean, she goes there a week every month. She obviously can't be poor if she's able to travel to Disney 1 week every month from Kentucky. So she goes around Epcot and buys dessert and drinks and stuff, but she couldn't tip her waiter in Via Napoli. So then that's bad enough, right? Then, after everybody on the internet is basically saying... More. But wait, there's more. So after everybody on the internet is basically calling her all kinds of names that I can't say on the air right now, then she goes on Instagram and tries to pretend like she didn't tip him because she received bad service. So this waiter, who's basically busting his butt to serve people, and, risking his life in a job that pays minimum wage to serve you pizza, and you stiff him the tip, then, because people call you out for it, you blame it on him and say that it was bad service. I didn't tip him because it was bad service. Right? After she writes on the receipt that the reason she's not tipping him is because she didn't understand that the pizza was $47. Then she says, oh, no, it's because of bad service. Right? So then, not only did she not tip him, now she's saying he's a bad waiter, right? and trying to blame it on him that she didn't tip him, after she clearly just basically told everybody in the world that she's a cheapo and doesn't know how to read. This smart moms do Disney, or whatever the heck her website is. She's so smart that then, because this $50 pizza was so outrageous that Disney can charge $50 for a pizza, she sets up a GoFundMe for pizza. She sets up a GoFundMe for $50. Literally, like, you think this is funny? Like, I thought it was a joke. No, she actually
set it up while
and set up a
like
GoFundMe.
$14 cocktail.
She's eating a tiramisu and sipping a $14 cocktail at Epcot, and she's setting up a GoFundMe for $50 to pay for her Via Napoli pizza that she ordered and then admitted she can't read the menu. But yet, she's got a website and a Facebook group and all that. And she spends 1 week a month at Disney learning to help moms like you do Disney better, smarter, and less expensively. Like, if you want real, actual Disney advice, you could probably talk to my kids to get better advice about how to do Disney than this woman, right? My kids know it's rude to stiff your waiter for a tip. My kids know that. They're like 12 years. My 12-year-old daughter knows that it's rude to do that. This woman has her own website and is pretending like she's the expert on Disney, but she doesn't know how to read a menu, and she doesn't know that stiffing your waiter is a bad thing. And then she has to set up a GoFundMe to pay for the pizza while she's drinking an alcoholic beverage somewhere else in Epcot. So now, apparently, she had all this stuff that she learned every week she's at Disney World on how to smart moms plan Disney cheaper and easier, whatever, blah, blah, blah. She charges like $90 for this PDF on her website. And now, because she posted her stupidity on Instagram and her rudeness on Instagram, now she's like changing her website, and she can't sell this PDF anymore, and she has to change the Facebook group's name now. Like, how dumb can you be?
She actually taught a lot of people of one way to save money at Disney, which is don't add a bunch of toppings.
Hey, you want to save, right? You can save 50%.
They're expensive.
You can save 50% on your pizza at Via Napoli by not ordering all the toppings. And then, and so Dawn in the chat says, how unaware of herself is she that she assumed that posting this on Instagram would go over well for her? Right?
Right. Let me give you two pieces of advice. Right. And I'm not a blogger. I don't have a website. I don't have a successful Instagram channel. But I have two pieces of advice. Bit of advice number one: do not brag about a big tip that you leave online. Like, don't brag about that you're a big tipper. Advice number two: don't brag about not tipping. Those are like, just don't do it. It's not going to end well either way. I don't know how she doesn't know this as a functional, presumably functional adult. This is absurd to brag. It's one thing to stiff people, right? People get stiffed every day, especially at Disney. But don't brag about not tipping. You know, at Disney, they get tipped because people don't know the cultural norms, or they don't understand something. And look,
right,
Via Napoli is very
tipping.
expensive.
So tipping is a kind of uniquely American thing. Like, you go to Japan, there's no tipping. You go to a lot of other countries, there's no tipping. You go to in America, there's tipping, but we also know that there's tipping in America because restaurants don't pay their servers minimum wage. So I can understand, like, if you're coming from Japan and this is your first time in America, you're not going to understand this tip thing, right? That's fine. That's probably why you should just get the dining plan. But this woman is from Kentucky, which is pretty much like the middle of America. She's clearly American. And so
Via Napoli is over, right? It's expensive. We know they truck in the water.
It's good.
They truck in the water from your people up in Pennsylvania, the land of your people up in
Pennsylvania, right? Water, yeah.
There's a price that goes with that. But they do actually have pizzas on that menu that are like $50 without any add-ons.
Yeah,
they have that
but
Mezzo
that's
Metro,
a giant
which is
pizza.
Pizza. Yeah, so they have that on there. But that should be a clue to you, like, hey, I'm going to an expensive restaurant. They have a pizza on here is $50. You put first of all, what kind of monster puts 5 extra toppings on a pizza? I don't want to go to a party with that person, because what are the odds that everyone in your party wants all those same exact
same 5 toppings, right?
Right. So you have that. That's already in consider. Assuming, well, it was a personal pizza, so never mind. But I bet you if she got the Mezzo Metro, she would have had those and made everyone else eat her favorite toppings too. Just because
so clearly, it's clearly she goes to Via Napoli and orders an individual pizza because nobody else wants to go with her, right? Like, she's there by herself. Right. Probably because everybody else is like, I'm not going with this nut job woman. She goes first of all, she's there by herself, eating by herself at Via Napoli. That's like number one. Nobody else.
Or she
really wanted to go with
friends
her
and split the checks. That's probably more.
Or she took friends and split the individual size pizza because she's a cheapo. But anyway.
I want to know though, like, how did the rest of her day go? Because if she's just at Food and Wine, or a taste of the EPCOT International Food and Wine Festival, whatever, she's going booth to booth. Yeah, you're not tipping at those booths. So maybe that should be in her blog, is just eat out there on the promenade where you don't have to tip. Then you won't expose yourself. But I mean, this is just, we shame people for this type of stuff all the time. Let me point something out though. Disney has, like we touched on, a lot of people don't tip at Disney or don't know. So I use Tables in Wonderland a lot. So most of the time the gratuity is included when you use the Tables in Wonderland card. Sometimes it is not. And I'm totally okay with the server pointing out to me, by the way, sir, a lot of times your gratuity is included with Tables in Wonderland. However, at this restaurant, it's not. They're saying, hey, please tip me. I get it, right? They got to make a living. It is infuriating sometimes at Disney, which would be buffets. Like the Beer Garden is a good example, because I love the Beer Garden. Now, they're serving the meals family style right now, so it's a little different. But when it's a buffet, guess what? They're putting an automatic gratuity on there of 18%, and all they're doing is bringing you a Coke or a beer. I get that, right? That is one of those instances where you're like, okay, I don't want to feel cheap here, but why am I tipping someone $26, for my party of 5 people because they brought me a couple, drinks? I get that, but to tell the excuse of like, I received poor service. If you receive poor service, then the message you're trying to send someone is that they improved. That's why you didn't tip. She did not do this. She wrote on the slip, the price of the pizza here is outrageous. I'm sorry, but I'm not tipping. So to me, her cop-out excuse that actually it was just poor service is a bunch of crap, because she had already told the server, oh, you're not getting tipped because of the price. Has nothing to do with, I'm trying to teach this person to get better. I'm trying to point out that they did a poor job of serving me, because let's face it, if you've eaten in the Italian Pavilion, in the past anyway, you've probably gotten some bad service from somebody at one point or another, because it's just kind of the way things go there. Right now, I don't know who is providing all the service at those restaurants, because I don't believe, Patina owns that restaurant, and Patina usually has people that they basically bring in from Italy to work at those restaurants. I don't know what the employment status of all these people is right now. It could be, just normal cast members that aren't used to working there or whatever, but sometimes I assure you, if you are a server at EPCOT or any of the Disney World resorts, you are accustomed to every now and then getting no tip and every now and then getting a gigantic tip. So while you should always tip your server, I can see, instances where it just doesn't happen because of, people not understanding our tipping culture here in the United States. They're ready for it. But this is just a blunder of epic proportions. This woman, I don't know her. I've never heard of her site. I almost feel bad for her if she wasn't so cavalier about the whole thing, because things can look, we've had instances at WDWNT where things have blown up because someone didn't like how an article was written. We had people get upset because we reported on news based on information that was available publicly but had not really made the rounds yet. So we had cast members that were finding out that their furlough was going to be extended because they were remodeling the Polynesian. That was based on an article that went to travel agents and that we got and did. So we didn't have a spy giving us this news. So I can understand how something can steamroll when you run a website and you're trying to provide good information. You're trying to promote engagement of your audience and do things. But this just seems like a blunder that no reasonable person should ever make. Bragging about not tipping, then changing your story about it and then creating a GoFundMe account. It's like it's like out of a bad movie. I even heard, and I saw in the chat earlier, someone said that she had like a religious reason for not doing it, like God or something told her not to tip, which would if that's true, then that's just like at least a fourth blunder in this whole series of events. Let's face it, it's pretty funny. It's fun to talk about.
Last week with that nut job that got kicked out of studios, I mean, God told him to go to studios and not wear a mask and get kicked out too, right? Like, that was his whole thing. He did a Facebook live stream for like 4 hours after that and told people. So, yeah, I mean, if you're dumb enough to do these things and then you say, God told me to do it, like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's... it's the last thing that makes her maybe gives her a reason to say that she's not responsible for her actions. First she.
I mean, that's what she's basically saying.
She thought everyone would like it. She thought everyone would like it because the price of pizza was outrageous. She thought they'd be on her side of not tipping. Quickly backfired. Then she blames the server, saying actually it was bad service. And then you bring God into it because there's no other excuse for your actions other than to keep keep changing your story and coming up with new reasons why you would do something so monumentally stupid.
All right, so Kevin, people in the chat were asking, like, who is this woman? So I this is from her website. Kevin, just if you can throw up that image for a minute or two. This is her. Like, you go to her website, and this is what you see on her website. This is what her website is. Smart moms plan Disney. Smart moms do plan Disney. I don't think she's one among them. But anyway, that's so. Those of you who wanted to figure out what she looks nutty. Yeah, I know, right? So there you go. She spends a week a month at Disney World and doesn't know how to read the menus. But yet can charge $90 for a PDF to help you plan. So there you go. That's what we're faced with here in this crazy world where I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you.
I was gonna make a Kentucky joke, but Kentucky, I love your bourbon, so I'm just gonna bite my tongue on that joke about Mama.
And I love your fried chicken, Kentucky.
Yeah. Good job on that chicken.
Anyway, all right. So let's talk about crowds for a bit. Because this past week has been a bit insane with crowds. Now I think Tom posted almost a week ago now that it was pretty clear that Disney was sort of quietly raising the limits on number of guests in the parks. It was pretty clear from wait times on rides. It was pretty clear from just crowds in the parks. It was pretty clear from how fast boarding groups were getting gobbled up on Rise of the Resistance. And as the week went on, it was pretty clear that there are more people in the parks now than there were before. And so they haven't announced it, but it's I think pretty obvious that Disney is raising the number of people that it's allowing into the parks. Whatever the percentage was before, it's obviously more now, but whatever. So the question becomes, right, like, so it's certainly the case, you know, that capacity is determined by the number of attractions that are open and things like that. So we talked about you know, whatever the capacity was and what percent they're at now, those are all determined based on capacity of attractions. And when attractions go down, capacity of the park goes down. So, like, clearly Hollywood Studios has the least capacity of any park because it has the least attractions. And so the other thing that we've seen over the past couple of days that also really plays into this capacity argument is the fact that now they're putting up plastic dividers on the ride vehicles at Rise of the Resistance. They put up like this clear shower curtain between the two rows. So before, they were putting one party per ride vehicle. So if your party was 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, you got a ride vehicle to yourself. So, of course, like, Tom was in love with this because he got a ride vehicle to himself every time. That's an inside joke for those of you who've been watching WWNT for a while now. But so they put up this plastic between the rows, so obviously the goal is to load more people per ride vehicle in Rise of the Resistance. I mean, that would help the throughput. It doesn't help that the ride breaks down all the time. But now, yeah, so if you saw Tom's stream today, Robert just said in the chat that you saw the shower curtains in the ride vehicles at Rise of the Resistance.
It's only on one vehicle, so I think.
It's right, okay. So it's one, or maybe they're going more. They're getting more, but now they're doing it on Tower of Terror too. We just posted that today, that now they're putting up plexiglass dividers on Tower of Terror, so that more people can fit in the ride vehicle. So here's the thing: it's pretty clear that they're trying to increase capacity of the rides, right? Like, that makes sense. You want to increase capacity of the rides because that way you can let more people into the park. So if the more people you can let into the park, the more money Disney makes. So that's the clear goal. But right now the attraction capacities, as I said, are limited by the number of people you can put in the attraction. And so, you know, if you get a giant string of parties that have one person in the party, parties of one people. I don't know what I'm doing. It's getting late. Parties of one. If you had like 20 individual people come and ride Rise the Resistance, they would each get their own ride vehicle, and that's a problem. Because whereas before they would fit 8 people in one of those ride vehicles, now they fit 1. And so the ride capacity is, at that point, 12.5% of what it used to be. And so if the park capacity before was, you know, 25,000, and now the rides are all at 12%, then your park capacity is down to 12% of 25,000. And so that's the problem, and that's why they're doing things like putting the shower curtain in the ride vehicle to try to fit more people in the ride vehicles to increase the capacity of the attraction. Because they can let more people into the park, but especially for something like studios, you can let more people into the park, and you can't if they can't ride any of the rides because the wait times are too long and there's no fast pass, and the boarding passes go in like 3 seconds, it's not going to be a good situation. And so all these people that they're letting into the park are going to have nothing to do, can't go on any rides, or you can go on like 3 rides in a day. The parks are only open for like 7-8 hours a day, and if the wait times are forever, you're going to be able to do like 2 or 3 things in the course of a day. So they obviously need to increase attraction capacity. And nowhere is that more important than on these attractions like Rise of the Resistance, where you're giving a ride vehicle that used to seat 8 people, you're putting in 1 at some point, or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, but you're putting in 1 party. I mean, yeah, the maintenance issues and the fact that Rise of the Resistance
you gotta
can't
get as many
operate
people
for a whole day is
you
a
have to get
different.
as many people as
that's a whole
possible
different
on there,
problem.
Jason. Because you don't know how many
Yeah,
times
for the
that
3 hours that it
vehicle will work
runs.
that day. You got to
Yep.
cram everyone in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. You've noticed too, the
Exactly.
boarding
So-
groups have got. I don't want to get into a Rise discussion, but the boarding groups have gotten smaller, so there's more boarding groups a day. So now Tom the other day is like, "Hey, I'm boarding group 95." Like we rarely hit 95 in a day. Well, the reason you're boarding group 95 is because boarding groups are a lot smaller now, so they're just able to move a lot. It used to be a boarding group. You would probably get a new boarding group called for about every 10 minutes, and it's rolling a lot faster than that right now because the boarding groups are smaller.
Right, which makes perfect sense. I mean, the capacity's lower, so... But, I mean, honestly, the boarding group size is irrelevant to anything, and Disney just seems to be playing with it to make it look like the ride has more capacity than it actually does. But in any case... it's the parks are getting more crowded because they're letting more people in. They're able to let more people in because they put up these like plastic dividers or shower curtains or whatever to be able to let more people on the ride in any given day. And we saw this like 2 weeks ago at Universal. So Universal, for roller coasters like the Hulk coaster at Islands of Adventure, we saw that they were seating people in every row. So the way that Universal was doing things before was they would put 1 party in every other row at Incredible Hulk. And then they started, at some point, just putting 1 party per row, which instantly doubles the capacity of the attraction. They didn't put plastic or plexiglass up, but their reasoning, I think, was that if you are wearing your mask and the ride is, 40 miles an hour in outdoors for 95% of the time you're in the ride, then you don't really need that 6-foot social distancing because A, you have a mask, and B, you're flying through the air at 40 miles an hour. So Universal kind of realized that that's a way to increase ride capacity and therefore park capacity, and it would probably be safe. And so what Disney's trying to do is now increase ride capacity, not by seating every row, but they're putting plastic shower curtains between the rows. And we saw this, they do it in the monorail, so if you've ridden the monorail, they have these big sort of canvas leather looking things hanging between the seats in the cars so that you can put 1 party per section as opposed to 1 party per car. Excuse me. So they're putting more people in the ride vehicles so they can raise the capacity of the park, which is a good thing because annual pass holders have been getting screwed and not able to go in the parks. We still can't park hop. Obviously, this is all steps being taken towards sort of getting back to a normal capacity for the parks.
Yeah,
and so the problem is
tough out there.
The problem is, if everyone could mute their sneezes, COVID wouldn't spread. See, I'm trying to keep you guys safe. I really value all of my watchers, and I don't want to get any of you sick.
It can now travel via broadband.
That's right. Only at HD though, so we're broadcasting this video at full HD resolution to make sure that everything gets transmitted, all the bits. Anyway, so Disney is trying to get back to higher capacity. Obviously, it brings in more money. Maybe if they had more money coming in, they wouldn't have to fire the Grand Floridian Orchestra or something, or else they would just give more money to Chapek. I don't know. Probably the latter. But part of the problem is that they're putting these like plastic shower curtain things in, and it's impacting the visibility from the back seat of the ride vehicle.
It's really hard to see Kylo Ren in B mode when he's projected on that wall through the.
I mean, you basically take, think of a plastic shower curtain that's clear, but you can't really seem to see through it very well. Yes, I get distracted by the chat. I try to keep up with what's going on in the chat. What is the proper name for these shower curtains? I think it's clear vinyl.
Yeah, clear vinyl.
I think it's clear vinyl. They sell it at Walmart. If you go to Walmart in the craft section, they sell it in a big roll. But yeah, if it was actually plexiglass and you could see through it, that would make some kind of sense, right? Because that's pretty much clear. But this transparent vinyl plastic shower curtain kind of thing is not completely see-through. If I had to guess, Jason, they're testing this to see how it works because maybe putting plexiglass in there would be really difficult. For the way the ride vehicle is designed, the modification. I think so. Yeah.
To support the weight, maybe they can't. Maybe they would have to, do permanent damage to these brand new ride vehicles to be able to support the weight of plexiglass. And they're like, what if we just stretched a piece of this clear vinyl in between, two posts? It looks like a volleyball net from the distance, right? As I think Tom described it on the live stream today. It was like a pool volleyball net or tennis net or something like that. I get it, right? They have it on. At best I can tell, one vehicle right now while they test it out to see just how bad it makes the ride. I don't know if they're ever going to move forward with that. They have to do something. If you follow our site, you probably saw this week Slinky Dog Dash. The line for Slinky Dog Dash was all the way to the Voyage of the Little Mermaid. I don't know. Someone could pull up Google Maps and probably guesstimate the distance, but it's far. And the problem is, the rides are obviously running at lower capacity. So let's say there's half as many people on a ride, and distance-wise, there's probably 3 times as much distance between people from normal queuing distances. I have learned lately, just anecdotally, that people are really pretty good about wearing masks in the parks. People are wearing their masks. People are still not good at social distancing. It's unnatural to human beings who have been, exist in their whole lives where you have to deal with people and pretty close. So at EPCOT, for instance, because that's my frame of reference over this past weekend, it's just everybody walks at a different pace, and you're trying to walk around the World Showcase Lagoon and hit these places, and you want to pass someone, but you can't really pass them without being really close to them or walking into oncoming traffic. It's difficult to maintain social distance. I think that's why the water parks aren't open, because the water parks people generally will not be wearing masks. And so while people are pretty good at wearing masks, people are not good at social distancing. It's an issue. So the backlash then is because you're taking up so much space with queues, and because the ride times are really long, the parks just seem even more full because the people who are normally on attractions or in queues for attractions are stretched all across the park. So it makes it look worse. It's harder to social distance within the parks for people who aren't on rides. And in general, it's just frustrating. Now, the other issue is traffic. What is happening now at EPCOT is all the parks, you can't just show up 2 hours early and pull in the parking lot. They're usually not letting people pull into the parking lot until about they're not even letting you line up your car until about 45 minutes to an hour before the park opens. So EPCOT opened at 11 yesterday. We got there right about 11. We parked in like Discovery 21. Like we're way down the line, and we sat in a long traffic jam just to get in there. They're not letting these people go into the parking lot until about maybe I don't know, 45 minutes before the park opens. And the reason is because those people get out of their cars and they go to the station where they're getting their temperatures taken. Even if there are people staffed there, you get your temperature taken, then you have to go to the front gate of the park. That area gets crowded with all the people stacked up that have been there for a long time. So they're actually, I have seen them recently stopping everything. So they will just stop taking people's temperature and let those people line up all the way back to Discovery 21 or wherever they parked, right, until the area between security and the front gates clears out at the parks. Then those people can go, and at the same time, the parking lots are stopping people. So they're sending people in stages. The traffic is very frustrating getting in and out of there. They have good rationale for doing it, but it's pretty bad. Disney Springs is a nightmare getting in and out right now, traffic-wise. Now, we went on Friday. There were still places to park, unlike yesterday, where both lots filled up. But just getting into the parking lots was taking a lot of time, causing a lot of traffic jams. There's a lot of logistical difficulties that these parks were not designed for. So I hope they figure out a way around this. I hope not only that we maybe can continue to see a decrease in cases in Florida, but in general that they figure out solutions to these problems, because they have a lot of impact, not just on the guest experience, but really on the whole company and the whole region of, the whole area of Orlando in terms of our economy and everything else. We can't fully recover until, there's places for people to go and things for people to do safely.
You just brought up something, and I want to go on a rant. This may close out the show, depending on how long my rant goes. Disney Springs used to be great in terms of parking. So you would come in, if you were on I-4 westbound, you'd take the exit for Springs. There was a dedicated ramp, and it would put you right into the third floor of the Orange Garage. Fantastic. That was a genius move. Whoever came up with that idea was a genius. Then, when Disney Springs reopened after the shutdown, they blocked off that access to the Orange Garage. I have no idea why. And in addition to blocking off that ramp to the Orange Garage, now you have to go in. You can only go in the garages one way, and there's weird barricades on the first floor of the garages to make you drive up and down aisles that used to be parking spots. I don't understand the reason why they did anything at all to the parking garages at Springs. The only thing they needed to do, which makes sense to me, was they needed to make space for the temperature checks on the second floor after you get off the elevators or whatever, before you cross the walkway into Springs. They needed to make room for the temperature checks there. So they blocked off a handful of rows of parking on the second floor of the garage to make sure that they could accommodate the people lined up for temperature checks. That's fine. There's no reason to do all of this screw-up stuff they're doing where you can't get into the Orange Garage on the third floor from I-4. Why do you block that off? That's ridiculous. You're making more traffic. You had a solution in place. 10 years ago, traffic on Buena Vista Drive was a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. They put in bus lanes so that people would take the buses to Springs instead of driving their own cars because traffic and parking was such a nightmare. But the problem was the buses got stuck in the traffic. So they put in bus lanes, which was spectacular. The buses zoom right past all the traffic. They go right into the drop-off point. Boom, you're there, you're in, it's great. Then they built parking garages, and you could get into the parking garage directly from the interstate. How much of a genius move was that? You could get right in. You don't have to deal with any traffic on the ground. You just zoom right into the parking garage and you park and you're done. Then they blocked it off. Why did they block it off? The easiest way to access the parking garage, they blocked it off. So now Buena Vista Drive is a complete nightmare. If you want to get to the Orange Garage, you can't just zoom right in on the third floor. You have to go down into Buena Vista Drive. Then you have to make a U-turn. Then you have to drive up and go into the Orange Garage. Then you have to zigzag through some barricades on the first floor that serve no purpose. And then you can finally park. So it is a giant disaster. It is a giant disaster that whatever they've done now, and I can't understand the rationale behind it. It makes no sense why they're doing any of this at Springs. The only thing they needed to do was make room for the temperature checks. That's all they needed to do. But parking and thus traffic all around Springs is a disaster.
And not to split hairs, Jason, but I believe the parking garages are managed by Reedy Creek Improvement District and not by Disney. So I don't know who's making that call. Now, obviously, Reedy Creek.
Okay, Eric, but who owns Reedy Creek?
Right. So there is some of that, but they are a municipality in and of their own too. So, for instance, maybe Josh DeMauro is not making the calls on how the Orange and Lime garages are operated. I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't know.
Why would you block off the ramp?
The only thing I can think of,
maybe it's Disney.
The only thing I can think of is that they're trying to measure the capacity of the garage from one part. They only want to pay one guy to hold the clicker and go count how many cars have come in, so they can shut it down and send people to Lime.
But the parking,
I don't know. But the surface garages are closed. Yeah.
The parking garages have all those sensors that tell you how many open spots there are. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. You don't need a clicker. They can tell you when the spots are full, Jason, right? But they can't tell you how many cars are in the garage. So last night they had people, I believe, driving into Lime Garage, and they were just sending them on through because they had so many cars backed up in Lime before they realized it was at capacity because, they had, by the time the last parking spot was taken, there's another like 60 cars that are in the garage. That's fine. That's fine.
I don't know. I agree with you. I agree with you that there has to be a better solution because the traffic getting there is a total disaster. They've closed the valet lot, which doesn't make much sense to me. I realize
you can't
they want
valet
to minimize
anywhere.
Interaction that you have with people, but you're getting into my car. You're welcome to wipe it down with a Clorox wipe if you're concerned. I think basically there's consensus now that the surfaces are not nearly as big a concern as the aerosol breathing the air. So I don't know why they don't have valet anywhere. It seems like a logical thing to do that is not as risky as some of these other phase 3 things that they probably are able to do if they really want to, but have not chosen to do yet.
Okay, so here's my argument to you. If the problem with the garages is that they can't accurately count the number of cars in the garage, how did they do it before COVID? Like Christmas week last year, the garages were at capacity, weren't they?
Yeah.
Right? It was.
Yeah, you're right.
But they had all the entrances open. It wasn't worse than it is right now. So whatever they're doing that they think is making it better is clearly not making it better. If the problem is that there's 60 cars in the garage before the last spot gets filled, then you just stop letting people in when the system shows 60 open spots left. That's all. It doesn't take a genius. You don't have to play the math game to figure out how many cars are in the garage that aren't in a spot yet. You just set it at like 100. That's fine. I've gone into Lime and Orange.
It happened last night. It literally happened last night where there were people stranded, stuck in the garage with no parking spots, stuck in there for an hour trying to get out of there. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, but it did happen last night.
Because they didn't cut off the traffic early enough. That's all. They just have to cut it off sooner than they did. It doesn't matter. The one guy there with the clicker is clearly not working when you got people in Lime stuck for an hour and can't get out. Whatever they're doing now is not working. Maybe it didn't work great last year at Christmas when it was full either, but whatever they're doing right now is clearly not working. And so, I mean, it doesn't help that they've wasted like 5 rows of parking on the ground floor of the Orange Garage with these barricades to just drive up and down. That makes no sense. But also, why aren't they opening the surface lots? I mean, wouldn't people rather park in the surface lots? Like, what's wrong with the surface lots?
I'm gonna start a blog, and it's called Smart Non-Moms. What was it? Teach Disney or whatever this lady's blog
Disney.
was. Plan Disney. And so, even though I live a very short distance from Disney Springs, I think my strategy here on out for a while is I'm going to take an Uber. I'm not messing with these garages anymore. It's ridiculous.
No, I think
it's ridiculous right now.
I think for sure. Like we've got dinner at Springs Friday night, and we're staying at Caribbean Beach. So my plan is either to just take a bus or take an Uber, or one way or the other way, one of each or something, whatever. Because it doesn't make sense to deal with this parking on a weekend or Friday night or whatever, especially when you're staying on property and you can just take a bus. So I think we'll probably take the bus to Springs Friday night. It makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good call. I would do that.
All right. I think we're coming up to the end of our show here. We certainly have covered all of the things that we need to cover, and then we actually covered things that we absolutely didn't need to cover, like that crazy woman, smart mom who can't read. You should start a blog. It's Smart Moms Can't Read. But yes. So I will certainly have some firsthand experience this weekend at Disney. I won't be on Pressing Issues next week, as I said, because I'll be flying home. But we'll have Ron on for sure, and probably Spencer too, to talk about Tokyo and the new Fantasyland that just opened. Give us a sneak peek of the Tonight Show. I don't really have a sneak peek of the Tonight Show. Like, I'm not involved with the planning. I'm going to be there this week, so I'm going to. I'm not saying anything, but I'm going to be there this week, so I'll be in the discussion segment, but I'm not involved with the planning, so I can't really give anybody a sneak peek. My trip, we're flying down Wednesday night, and we're coming back Sunday night. And we're staying at Caribbean Beach, so we can take the Skyliner. I don't know if Rob's hosting. Ron might actually just host. Or if not, I don't know if Axel and I don't know who's going to be on next week. I know Ron will be on because it'll be the first segment of timekeeping, and I think Spencer will be on to talk about the official opening in Tokyo. Other than that, I don't know. But I will certainly be on the week after next to bring you all of my firsthand experiences in Disney Springs, and stay tuned to the live streams from the parks that we've been doing every day, because tomorrow the live stream is being taken over by Eric from EPCOT. We'll have Pete doing some live streams. We'll have Axel doing some live streams. And then hopefully one of the days when I'm there, I'll be doing a live stream. So that should be a lot of fun. If you wanted me to walk around and rant about things while I'm doing my live stream, that's probably my plan, since parks will probably be too crowded to do any rides anyway. So anyway, we'll have a good time. Thanks, everybody, for watching tonight. Thanks, Eric, for being my co-panelist tonight. Thanks very much to Kevin Lake for running the show tonight. I guess that's it. Thanks, everybody who gave us super chats tonight. And we'll see you all next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.